You're able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, that's fine. Absolutely okay. So what we've done so far is, if you recall, we've started the first unit, which is basically strategic marketing in, tourism and hospitality.
Yeah.
Now, this particular unit, gives you a bit of a grounding in terms of what is the role of marketing in promoting tourism. Okay. Now, this unit, when we complete this unit, as I've discussed earlier, just summarizing here, this unit will give you an overall perspective of how marketing is an important tool to promote tourism. If you run, say, for example, a service like a hotel or a resort, then what is the role of marketing in making that resort or that hotel successful? That is, in terms of you getting customers, you're building the brand of that hotel, and also towards the end, looking at delivering value. That means customers who book the hotel, come over for a vacation, at the end of the day, see a value, that they paid the money, they've received the services, and they then leave a positive feedback. So this whole engine, which is driven through the route of, marketing and tourism. Now, as you clearly know that, there are 4 P's of marketing. So those 4 P's over the years have now become 7 P's. So initially you had price, you had product, you had promotion, and you had place. Now, in addition to that, the other P's which have got added now, they have become 7 P's. So they have become, packaging has got added, people have got added, and to a certain extent, the perception of how customers actually perceive your service has also been added, to the marketing mix. So this particular unit, in general, then looks at these 4 P's in a bit more detail, and also looks at how you utilize these, 7 P's: perception, physical environment, which includes, within the 7 P's, how this then is basically looked at, implementing for the purposes of marketing within travel and tourism industry. So there are various definitions of marketing that we covered. One such definition is by Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker is one of the marketing gurus, Kotler, Cotter. There are lots of others, but one of the key definitions of marketing, and we will look at when you do your assignment, you will also look at maybe putting together different definitions from American Marketing Association, even Philip Kotler and things like that. Now, marketing is nothing but a basic function which is considered, which helps your business generate sales and helps basically generate sales or demand for your products and services. And that is what the customers actually pay for.
Okay.
Now, let's look at, in general, the key things that where you will see hospitality marketing. Hospitality is a very big field. So if you have to look at, the field of hospitality, what comes to your mind? We discuss things like hotels, we discuss things like restaurants, nightclubs, resorts, amusement parks, like, you go to, for example, Alton Towers or, Legoland. These are all amusement parks. You go to Disney World. So these, and then you have the concept now, as we discussed last time, there was a concept called Airbnb, wherein, you can rent your house when you're away on vacation or you're traveling, and that could be utilized, by people primarily looking at, using your house or apartment while you're away. So this is a company, and it's a new concept which is originated out of the bed and breakfast. And what you're able to do is, if you're the owner of the house, you can rent your accommodation out for a number of days when you're not actually using it. So all this is now becoming, this is the modern day, part of hospitality industry. So people no longer look at booking hotels. So if you're going in as a family and you're going to a vacation, what you will do is you'll probably go in and search for a, say, for example, if I choose a destination like Paris in France, when are you going? I'm going on the 18th. How many guests are there? You look at this, and then it will show you a number of places that you can rent. So this is somebody's house that you can rent, and you can choose the area of what prices you like. But what you have to do is, basically, when you go in, you live in as if you're living in your own house. When you leave, you basically leave with the same set of criteria left in the condition, and then you leave the location, and you are paying that much money. So this is a new concept that you get to see, wherein again a part of hospitality, and this is where all the marketing is happening. So with the coming in of digital technology, you see companies like Airbnb modernizing the concept of promoting something like a bed and breakfast. So you own a house, you own a flat in London, you can rent it out when you're not living or you're away on a business trip, and that property then earns money. So all this is basically marketing within the hospitality industry, which consists of travel, tourism, and hospitality. Incidentally, if you look at the definition of hospitality, the definition of hospitality is it's a friendly and a generous reception of guests for entertainment, your visitors, your family. You basically entertain people, you receive them, you entertain them, and then they could be guests, family members, even strangers, and things like that. So that is basically the concept of hospitality, if you look at the definition.
Yes.
Now, going further, what we're going to be looking at is what are the various reasons why this industry has come up, and what are the various mediums in which marketing can happen. So as we looked at the 4 Ps, there are concepts through which the strategies of marketing are created within this industry. So there is something like a production concept. Production concept, if you remember, can only be applied in places like restaurants, takeaways, wherein there is something that the particular part of the restaurant is producing, and that is being served to the customers, against which they pay money because they've had dinner, lunch, or things like that. There is a concept of a product, and the concept of product is, the product is Alton Towers, it's a theme park. The product is a resort, and wherein users go in, consumers go in, they go in for a holiday, they go in for a vacation, they spend a bit of time there with family and friends. So the concept is they sell those things as cruises. Have you been on a cruise?
No.
You've seen the adverts at least. Okay, you've seen the adverts. Yeah. So when you look at the concept of cruise, if you see an advertisement, how do they sell it? They sell it as a product concept. That means you're on a ship, you have casinos, you have bars, you have, games, you have a swimming pool, you have kids area, you have everything under one roof. So that particular product within the hospitality industry is actually sold using the product concept, because they're selling you the whole idea that if you go on a cruise, you can have every vacation within that cruise. So you can have a kids vacation, you can have your casino vacation, you can have cinema halls, you can eat the finest food, wine and dine, and all that concept, plus you get to see countries. So these are various concepts which are used in the hospitality industry to market a particular product. Product concept would be if you have a hotel which is located in a pristine beach. For example, if you would recall, for example, Isle of Wight. You look at, for example, places which are, Calais, for example. There are a number of islands which the British Isle owns, and that Isle of Wight is a tourist destination spot because they sell it as a product, saying that it is the sunniest, place in UK. So that place gets the maximum amount of sun throughout the year. So if you want to go out to the beach and have fun with family, they sell it as a concept that you're going to an island, you have, privacy, you have sun, sand, surf, everything. Similarly, there's a concept which is the sales concept or selling concept. Now, selling concept is, if you consider fast food restaurants, there the concept is they are selling you a meal. They're selling you something which is, fast. They're selling you a concept which is convenient. They're selling you a concept which is affordable. So if you go to the Subway, you go to McDonald's, it's a part and parcel of the hospitality industry because it's a fast food restaurant. And if you see that, in that particular concept, they are basically selling you a meal. And the meal is sold because it's because of convenience, it's because of affordability, it's because it's available 24/7. And then the last concept that you look at within this industry is the marketing. That means you're looking at creating a brand, and you sell the whole experience. So when you look at focusing on quality, when you look at focusing on delivering superior value, you create a concept wherein people come to that location again and again. For example, Disneyland. You look at Disneyland, people go to Disneyland, when they were kids, then they have kids, they go to Disneyland again, and they go with their grandchildren again. So that concept is sold as a family vacation, but that is sold as something having superior value, quality, and something that you cannot get bored with, something that you cannot get over with, you know. So that
Also,
concept,
that is very popular. That's why.
so that particular concept is something which is called the marketing concept. So there are various concepts that you look at. There is a societal complex marketing concept. Have you heard of Butlins? Have you seen Butlins as an advert on the TV?
No, I can't remember.
Okay, Butlins are also resorts in the UK, and they are in 3 or 4 locations in Brigby Manor. You know, there's one close to Bristol. There's one close to in the outskirts of London. Now they are sold on a concept wherein you go and you socialize. It's a resort wherein everything is available. So you can live within, say for example, a setting of your own. You can hire a cottage. You can, rent a room. There are, various things available, and you get the idea of a society. That means you're going on a vacation wherein you want to meet like-minded people. So when families go out on vacation, what they look at is whether they have a pool in the, say for example, in the hotel, which is child friendly. That means there is a toddler's pool available or not. When you choose locations, when you go out for a family vacation, what you try and look at is that it caters to the needs of each and every type of age group or individual going in that vacation. Is it? Sometimes you see that. Sometimes parents, when they plan vacation or go out for a holiday, what they say is, okay, I think if you're going to Disneyland, it's going to be fun primarily for the kids, not for us, because it's something made for kids. But when they sell that concept, what they're looking at doing is they're going to a location wherein you'll meet like-minded families, you have lots of children to interact with, and your children can make friends. So that concept of selling in the hospitality industry is called the societal marketing concept. So if you look at the previous slide, there are various things within the industry. So there are hotels, restaurants, resorts, amusement park. Each of this is actually using marketing, but in a very different concept in terms of using marketing. So some of them use concepts wherein there's a production of food happening. There is a product concept, which is things like hotel or location. You're looking at selling concept with like fast food restaurants. So you have to at some stage look at these 4 P's or 7 P's of marketing and develop a marketing strategy which kind of caters well to your particular part of the services that you provide within this industry, hospitality and tourism. This slide explains the concept, says marketing and sales. So marketing and sales, if you look at in particular, works in the case of fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Subway. You look at Big Burger, KFC, things like that. So they start with mass production of food. They have existing products that they convert. So when you go to McDonald's, you order, say for example, a fish fillet. Basically, what they will do is they will prepare the meal. They have an existing frozen product available. They prepare the meal. It's nicely packed, hot, and then it's served to you. And obviously, at the end of it, they generate a bit of profit on that. Similarly, in the marketing concept, when you look at what they look at is, why do you think Disney World is not, as a resort? Disney World as a resort is not available in a lot of places in the world. Why it is only specific places?
Because they are very popular and they want to keep their standards. That's why they don't.
That's a good point as well. That's a good point. But when you look at from a point of view of concept, what you're looking at is they are going and opening Disney resorts only locations where they feel that there is a market for it. They feel there is a demand for it. That means customers are coming to that location. So they opened it in Paris, probably not London, because Paris gets maybe 30 million visitors every year. It's a very popular tourist destination in Europe.
Yes.
People come to see the Eiffel Tower, they come to see the Louvre, which is the museum, they come to see lots of things. So what they've done, they've chosen a location wherein the customers are already coming, and when they come into Paris, if they are coming for a vacation of 7 to 10 days, they at some point in time will go for a day or two to Disney World as well. So you look at the customer thought. If you are going on a vacation to Paris and you have kids, what you will do is, okay, we are going there for 4 days, 5 nights. So you plan your holiday in a way wherein what you do is you say, okay, we'll go to the Eiffel Tower, we'll do the city tour and stuff like that. And then, you'll say, okay, now we've seen the city, we've done everything. We'll also go to the Paris Disney World because the kids would enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a market, there is a demand for this kind of a product. And what it does is, when they sell it as a concept, they sell it that you're coming to one of the most romantic places in the world, wherein there is everything available for kids, for every age group. Whether you're an old couple, whether you're a young couple, whether you're kids, family with kids, there is a message wherein it integrates that the Paris as a city has an appeal for all age groups. So when you go, when you choose a location or a spot for vacation, what you will look at doing is you'll try and see that, okay, if I go to this location, I can only do this, and afterwards there's nothing much to do. So families typically choose a vacation spot on the basis of the multi-versity appeal, that you can do sightseeing, you can also go there, you can also go to the beach, you can also wine and dine in the best restaurants, plus you can see art, literature, and everything, isn't it? So that kind of a concept, applies to resorts in particular, or places wherein there is a high value associated with, both in terms of service and quality, and both in terms of, reward in terms of profits. So Disney World makes lots of profits because they have, a lot of visitors which come and visit them every year, and some of them visit them once in 3 years. So again, that concept is they need to build a brand. They want the brand to be very strong, and that can only be done through the marketing concept. And they invest in the brand, they invest in the promotion and advertising, and position the product in a way where it is not too premium. That means very few people can afford, or it is not too cheap. That means people feel, oh, I've been to Disneyland several times. There's nothing there. So they keep coming up with new rides, new concepts. So that is where the marketing concept then applies. Now, just to look at, this is where we stopped, I think, last time, and we'll quickly move ahead with some of the other slides. So you look at corporate giants, they have increased importance in terms of marketing spend. You look at McDonald's as one of the biggest chains, fast food chains in the world. They invest up to 21% in marketing, their budgets, the profits that they make. The reason is they want their customers to come back to the restaurants again and again, so that they can serve the meals and they can serve more customers. So marketing has a lot of importance when you look at businesses which are present across different countries. You look at holiday chains, for example, how much money they invest in terms of promotions. Holiday Inn, for example, it's a hotel which is pretty much present in every city. You look at some of the hotels like Hyatt Regency, Hyatt group of hotels. They are present pretty much in every country, every city. Now, they invest in a lot of marketing is because they need to be able to drive consumers to come to their hotels. So if the hotel is empty, the hotel property is not making money, they're losing business. So they keep coming up with offers for spring, for festivals, for New Year's, things like that. And that engine which drives consumers coming to their hotels is nothing but, that engine of driving demand is nothing but the use of marketing within the hospitality and tourism industry. Now, there are some of the best practices in terms of when we look at some of the case studies that we want to study within this industry, and how the companies that made it successfully used the marketing to promote and create more business. These are some of the examples which come to our mind. So basically, when you look at I've quoted since Four Seasons hotels. You look at Dubai, which is now transforming from an oil country to something which is becoming now a tourist destination. So the concept of QSCV, you recall what was the concept of QSCV? Quality, service, cleanliness, and value. So fast food restaurants basically thrive on providing you quality food. They have excellent service. They have cleanliness. You would not want to go and wine and dine in a place wherein it's shabby or it's not clean, and they give you value for money. So that kind of principle has been created, wherein this whole industry actually works on providing you quality, provide you a service because you're paying the money. If you go and stay in a Premier Inn or, say for example, a travel lodge overnight, you're paying them £35 or £40 for the room, but you expect the room to be clean, you expect the room to have towels, you expect the room to be warm enough in terms of air conditioning or, temperature wise, and you expect a certain value when you pay that money. If you go to Dorchester Hotel, when you're paying £250 a night for the room, you expect much more from them because the value, the money that you're paying needs to deliver that value, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So some of these best practices we will also look at in a bit more detail when we go along, and that is where we need to remember this QSCV principle, which stands for quality, service, cleanliness, and value. Okay.
All right.
Now, just as we know that there is something called a marketing mix, which consists of the 7 P's, there is something called the tourism marketing mix. Now, in this mix, what happens is you have the basic 7 P's of marketing. You have physical evidence or physical infrastructure, your place, product, price, promotion, people, and process. This is the 7 P's of marketing. But within that, you have something which are variables or marketing mix which are required in the tourism industry. So tourism industry provides you service which is intangible. That means you cannot touch the service. So you go and stay in a hotel, you're staying in the hotel, and the service that you get is sometimes intangible. So when you eat the food, you've eaten the food, there is no byproduct or nothing left of it. So service becomes intangible. There are a lot of variables that you look at which are in tourism industry. Why do you choose a particular hotel? Why do you go to a particular resort again and again? Or why do you go to a tourist destination again and again? Because there are variables which affect your decision making or judgment. So you kind of like the place quite a lot. The service in that place was very good, for example. The price was very affordable. Your family enjoyed. So these are all variables, which are important within the tourism industry. And in some cases, some of these variables are inseparable from each other, right? When I look at service and when I look at an experience, you would not have had a good experience if you did not have good customer service in that hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with me?
Yes, I am agree.
So in some cases, some of these variables which apply in the tourism marketing mix are inseparable. So when you go on a vacation and you stay in a hotel and you like the hotel quite a lot, and you say, okay, when you leave the hotel, you're checking out, you check with the reception, and they say, sir, did you have a good experience? Yes, I did have a good experience. So, and they give you an exit survey to fill in, and in that you basically quantify why did you have a good experience. Maybe the service was very prompt, the room was very warm,
Yes.
So
Some
those
of the
things are
hotels, they give some kind of paper to fill up, like how I feel. I mean, after staying in the hotel, like the kind of feedback they ask for. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. So you have to somehow quantify, and what you want to look at is what did you enjoy, and that is what they are trying to understand is which variable or which aspect of the hotel did you like. Did you like the gym? Did you like the restaurant? Did you like, for example, the pool? Did you like the staff? So those are things that they want to understand from that survey. They want to keep improving the things which you did not like. So variables are intangible. Some of them are inseparable. That means you cannot separate service from quality. You cannot separate, say for example, cleanliness from quality. So you cannot say the hotel is a 5-star rating if the hotel is not clean. The cleanliness of the hotel actually depends and kind of defines the star rating of that hotel. The location, for example, of the hotel. You might want to go and stay in Dorchester. The reason why you go and stay in Dorchester is because it's in the best area in London. It's very centrally located. It's very well connected. You might not stay in Dorchester if it's 50 miles outside London. It might not give you that value. So location of the hotel is inseparable from the charges or the pricing it charges in terms of its room. So if the location of the hotel is very good, the pricing of the rooms is higher. If the location of the hotel is not very good, the pricing in the of the rooms that you pay decreases substantially. So that is the tourism marketing mix that we look at, and we look at this in a bit more detail. So let's look at defining the 4 variables which are tourism mix. One of them is intangibility. That was in the previous slide. That means it cannot be seen, something that you cannot physically touch. Okay. Inseparability, that means you cannot separate them from the service which you have received. Now, if you say that I've received good service and you tip the restaurant, tip the waiter at the restaurant, you tip the waiter because you've received a good service, you're happy with the food brought in was quick, order taking was prompt, and when serving was being done, it was spot on, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the tipping that you do and the service that a waiter provides you in a restaurant when you're eating is inseparable.
Okay.
Right? So you go to a bar, for example, you go to a bar, you order a drink. Sometimes what you do is, if you have that drink, you have that drink again, is because of the fact that you like the flavor of the drink, or you like the way the drink was served, and because you liked it, you tip the waiter. So the tipping of the waiter is something which is inseparable from the service that he's provided. That means he's provided you a very good cocktail, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So the third factor is variability. Now, variability comes in when you see things like, when you're choosing a hotel, sometimes you look at variability in terms of price. You say, okay, I'm going to be going there for 5 days. I think we can afford a hotel at £100 a day. If you don't find something at £100 a day, then what you will say is, okay, I think we need things like, we definitely need a pool because we have kids. We definitely need a gym, and it should have sauna and, say, for example, a jacuzzi and things like that. Now, if these are variables that you're to make a decision on, you will not be able to separate them when it comes to booking the hotel, and you will look at a certain price and then you look book the hotel considering these variables. And these variables then drive the quality or the star rating of the hotel. So when you look at the rating of the hotel, sometimes people say it's a 5-star hotel. Why do you think it's a 5-star hotel? Do you understand the hotel ratings, Shahid?
Yes, I do.
So when you say it's a 5-star rating, 5-star rating typically means that there are 5 things available in the hotel, and that is why it has 5-star rating. So first thing is it has maybe a swimming pool. Second thing is it has something which is called a 24-hour coffee shop. Third thing is you have a 24-hour check-in. That means you can check in and check out anytime. And fourth thing is it at least has one Michelin star restaurant, or one restaurant which has which is a famous restaurant in the hotel. And the fifth part is that it has a 24-hour laundry service. So these things, pool, laundry service, Michelin restaurant, 24-hour check-in, check-out, the presence of things like presidential suite, or different types of rooms, they basically make the star rating of the hotel. Now, if I say it's a 4-star hotel or a 3-star hotel, it is expected that in a 3-star hotel you'll not have a swimming pool.
Yes.
5-star hotel, you'll have a good size swimming pool. So there are variations in terms of star rating. Now, this particular rating creates variability in the quality. So when you book a best hotel in London and you decide to go to Dorchester, is because it's a 7-star because it has something which is meeting your expectation and it is able to provide that quality. Okay? Have you understood this particular aspect?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So last is ability. That means this cannot be stored, or the things, that means if you have food, it has an expiry date on it, right? If you have an offer in the hospitality industry, the offer has an expiry date. That means there's a sale on as of now, and you can book your 2017 holidays from as low as £60. But that offer is soon going to expire. So what the company is doing is, Jet2 Holidays is trying to do is basically trying to sell its capacity of his aircrafts and the hotels that he works with now, and people are actually buying holidays for next year. But at some stage, they will have to withdraw this offer because they would have sold 70 or 80% of the room capacity and the airline traveling capacity. And that would mean that the offer has then expired, or has been, has been taken over by another offer. So perishability in the services industry, in particular in the hospitality industry, is also a very important variable. So have you seen, when you look at Premier Inn's advertising, they say rooms from as low as £25 a night. Yeah, but they also put in a small bit of an asterisk or fine terms and conditions saying that limited rooms on a first come first serve basis. So do you think what they do is when they advertise, when they basically say this, there are certain rooms in Premier Inn which are actually priced at £25, say for example 5, 7, 10, 12 rooms, but once they are booked, that is something which is perishable. That means there are no longer those rooms available which are at £25 a night, and the room rate then rises to the next set of rooms which is say £35.
Yeah.
So in terms of offers, when you look at within this industry, the offers have an expiry date. That means you cannot use it beyond a certain date, because if the rooms are occupied, they can advertise that we have rooms at £25. They have to advertise that we have rooms at higher value available now. So that is the concept of perishability. Now, each of this concept has been detailed out in a bit more in individual slides to make you understand a bit more, and what are the variables that are considered when we expand them into, say for example, each of these for example. So what I would suggest you to do is maybe go through some of these slides to understand these four mix within the tourism and hospitality industry in a bit more detail. Okay, so intangibility, variability, we've explained. Variability also is explained in a separate slide, and I'm going to skip that and come to something like what are the management strategies for service business. Now, you understand that when you look at marketing in particular, how does marketing work? Marketing works is you have the 7 P's of marketing, but in order to put those 7 P's together, the manager or the person responsible for marketing actually creates some sort of a plan, and that is called market plan or a market planning document. Now, the process of creating a marketing promotion plan, something that you're going to be talking about, like let's look at, say, during the new year, a lot of hotels or places in London will advertise that you can come down for celebrating the new year to London, look at the fireworks, and things like that. So what the hotels are doing in and around the Thames River is they're going to create a plan now, that they're going to come out with an offer, and those offers are then going to be communicated slowly and gradually to start attracting customers. The process of planning is called market planning. Okay, the document which is produced is called market plan, which is basically produced at the managerial level, and they create a some sort of a plan which will consist of, okay, what are the offers going to be, which areas we are going to advertise on, what is the channel that we will use for advertising, what will be the target audience, things like that. Once that plan is produced and the whole process is called planning, that plan is then put forward to the management. Management would mean people who are the directors, or maybe the general manager of the hotel, or maybe the board of that hotel, and that plan has to be approved by the management before it can be implemented.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes, the management have to check it out how it's gonna work in future. Okay. Then they will use the strategy for the services.
Absolutely. So in the example here, a small toned down example will be, if you look at a takeaway normally prints a lot of flyers every month, right? When the flyer is being made, the people will sit down in the department, and what they will do is they'll say, okay, we'll look at this new introduction of this is the pricing and all that. At some stage, the person who owns the takeaway or the restaurant has to approve that, isn't it, before it goes to the print. So they create a draft. Once the draft is created, they then approve it, and then the director of the company, or somebody who's the senior most person who will actually pay the cost for printing of the flyers, actually says, okay, we need a design like this. No, I don't agree with it. So he makes the final decision. Once that is approved, that becomes something called a strategy. Okay, so combining the 7 P's and planning as a process becomes a market plan. When you produce the document, that becomes a market planning document. But the process of discussions, coming up with offers, looking at what to advertise, where to advertise, is basically the process of planning. Once it is put to the management and the plan is approved, that becomes something called a strategy. Okay. So once that has been approved, that is becoming a strategy, and that is then implemented by the staff. in the chosen market or in the way that they want to do. For example, a restaurant might say, okay, we've got the leaflets now printed, the flyers have been printed, and we are going to door drop these in a particular area. That is the implementation of that marketing plan. But the implementation, before it goes to that stage wherein the flyers are printed and then it's door dropped into houses or in a particular location, is something then becoming a strategy, because they're going to be doing this for next 2-3 months to attract customers to the restaurant. So in the service industry, one of the key things is, once the planning has been done, what you basically look at is something called a management strategy, and that management strategy is something which has been approved by the board, and then that is implemented, and that is then implemented to increase the business. Now, when you look at the definition of strategy, what is strategy? Definition of strategy is that it basically is a planning document which allows you to create something which differentiates you from the competition. It provides a particular unique service, and then because of that particular unique service or product, you are able to realize tangible profits. So a restaurant will print out these flyers, send it out, because there are other restaurants in that area who are also trying to attract orders from customers. But because your dish is so special, or it is able to strike a price and a balance wherein customers like it, it creates a bit of differentiation in the market. No other restaurant has that dish on their menu. The quality of the dish is good, and because you are getting orders for it again and again, what it does is it starts generating profit for that restaurant or that takeaway. So a strategy is nothing but a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term goal for a business.
Yes.
And once the market planning has been done, that market planning is done for 1 month, 2, 3 months, 4 months, isn't it? And that implementation month after month is nothing but the strategy which is employed by the hotel or the restaurant or the takeaway to be able to attract customers. So we will look at a few strategies in terms of how they are done, and they are again done on the basis of the marketing and tourism mix. So things like tangible product, your physical surroundings. You're also looking at managing employees, personal risk, capacity and demand, and managing consistency. So let me give you an example here very quickly. Now, if you look at somebody opening up a hotel or somebody opening up a restaurant, right? They do a lot of planning in the background. So if you are in an area, you are in an area of London, say, whereabouts are you in London?
It's southwest.
So you're in southwest London. Assuming there is a friend of yours who wants to open a takeaway in that area. Okay? He doesn't just decide that I want to open a takeaway. What he does is he does a bit of planning around, opening the takeaway first. So what does his planning consist of? His planning will consist of that he will do a round robin tour of that area to see how many takeaways are there, what kind of takeaways are there, what are they selling. You always go and collect maybe a copy of the pamphlet or the flyer to see what is on their menu, what is the pricing structure, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Then the second thing that you would look at is you collected the flyers because you want to see what is the product they are actually selling on their menu. What dishes are they selling? The dishes are nothing but product. Okay?
Yes.
Then what you do is you survey the area. That means you go around the area and you choose a location. This location is quite central. This has got a lot of houses around it, and I think this will be a good location. So what you do is you go around the physical surroundings of the area in which you want to open the takeaway and see whether you are within the captive audience, whether you are within the target audience market or not. Isn't it?
Yes.
What is the third thing that you'll do? So assuming you shortlist a location, you know what are the competition in terms of the other restaurants and takeaways, and what are they selling in terms of their dishes, which is products. Then you start to look at, you find some employees. How will you find what employees you need in the takeaway or a restaurant?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it depends on what kind of product I will sell. I mean, what kind of dishes I will sell, because there is a pubs, there is a restaurant, there is a takeaway service, or maybe kebab shop, maybe British food, you know. So
Correct.
if I
So what you look at is, in that case, you look at employees. So you will look at maybe hiring a chef. You
yeah.
will look at somebody who can do deliveries for you. So those are the kind of employees you would not start to look out for when you want to start this business. Now, what is the other things that you consider? You other things that you consider very quickly is you consider things like, if I open a takeaway and if it doesn't work, you look at risk evaluation.
Of
You know,
course.
I'll give it 3 months. I have 3 months of working capital. I can pay 3 months of salary wages for the chef, for the delivery guy. I can buy the raw material. But if it doesn't start making profit in 3 months, then there's a perceived risk that my takeaway might not work and I might have to do something different, isn't it?
Yes.
Then you also look at, if you're in a very good area and you start receiving a lot of orders, then you start to look at things like capacity and demand. That means one chef might not be able to cook all the orders which you're receiving. One delivery boy might not be good enough to able to deliver all the food, because by the time he comes back, the other food becomes cold. So you start looking at, once you start getting orders and the restaurant starts running, you also budget for something like expansion in terms of, can I get more staff in a place? So when you look at hiring a place, what you will look at, you will look at things like, if I hire this place, can I expand? If I hire this place and my takeaway starts running, can I put another stove or another kitchen in it so that two chefs can work? You plan all this, isn't it? You don't plan that, okay, I'm going to shift to a new place because this takeaway has overgrown its capacity, isn't it?
Yes.
And the last thing that you look at is, you also look at something called, things like that I need to hire somebody who can consistently deliver on quality of the food,
Yes.
who can consistently turn out the same taste of the dishes.
Yeah.
So these are things that you consider from a management perspective when you set up a hospitality business. Because hospitality business is a service business and you need to get repeat orders time and again. You need to get the same customers to be able to run your business and make the money and make the profits. So
Yes.
these are things that you consider in terms of strategies when you start something. Okay. So as an example, I've given you an example of what is, basically looking at something like, a takeaway when you start. So what I'm going to do now here is basically going to stop here for today. And then I would suggest that you read some of these slides again, because I think there's a bit of a gap in the first session that we did in the second session. So this has been a bit of a repetition, but try and study these 20 slides and try and relate this to what I've explained to you in this particular, tutorial today.
Could you send me this
Yeah,
slide,
I'll send you these slides. Yeah, no problem.
please? Then I can
And
read it.
then what we will do is, for next week, what we're going to do is basically, if you study slides like marketing mix, which I've covered slightly, so that marketing mix now, and some of these slides study to just read them to see and then ask me a few questions.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so some of these, I think what I will do is probably slide till, I would say, the marketing mix. So go up to slide 40, from 1 to 40.
Okay.
Okay, and what I will do is, when we start the next session, we will relate these slides to the assignment brief of what topics and tasks we have covered so far.
Okay.
Is that okay, Shailul?
Yeah.
So I'll send you this straight away after this meeting. And the other thing is, if you have any questions, then do feel free to ask me or raise them through the email, so that I can send you some additional handouts, 2 or 3 page handouts to read, so that your concepts are clear.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's